Hey, everybody, it's Natalie McKenzie with The Whole Woman, and it's 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. That makes it Quaran-Tea time, but this is the 100th time I have said that. It's exciting. So pop out the champagne, hit that share button, invite a few friends, because today we're celebrating in style, fine style, with one of the finest people that I know. I have waited months to be able to get this guest on, and I am over the moon, absolutely excited, and pop out the fizz, the buzzle, and the fireworks, because today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is the president of Tennessee State University. That's right, in Nashville, Tennessee. She is also the international president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Dr. Glenda Baskin-Glover, my friend, your representative. Come on now, Dr. Glover. Welcome.
Oh, hello. Oh, it's so wonderful to see you and to be on your 100. I am honored to be on the 100th show. This is amazing. You've
I'm
done
wearing
wonderful.
Tennessee blue.
Yes, you wear your TSU blue. We appreciate that.
Welcome, Dr. Glover. How are you?
Oh, it is great. Things are going well. We're just working with students, getting them in school. That's what they
Oh,
need. Education.
I'm telling you, I have to say, I think you guys are pulling off the almost impossible, which is getting the students together in a large setting and having thousands of students on campus and to do it safely.
It's a challenge, but we're following the advice of the experts, the healthcare experts. They've told us what we have to do. Take the temperature of everyone who comes on campus, make sure everybody has a mask when you're in public places or just anywhere outside the house. We have a safer in place policy that we have the students to which the students must adhere. We're doing the first 2 weeks of class online, and then after that we'll make decisions as to whether we're going to go online or we'll stay online or go back to on ground. But
Wow.
it's great to see the students again, although I don't see many of them because they're safer in place and they can't really come outside very much.
I have to say, that's quite a bit of a logistic feat you have going there.
Especially for the millennials and Gen X, I mean Gen and Z's, they're not buying it. They don't like it.
Listen, we need to get together. We need to gather. We need to
Yes.
have our college
Every time
experience.
you go to a party, you want to go out and see want a step show. What is going on here?
Oh boy, I can imagine. Now, Dr. Glover, you are one of two African American women in the United States of America, and that's a lot of people, that hold a PhD, a CPA, and a JD. I want to know what went into the making of such a woman that would grow up to be you, to be the Dr. Glover, the congenial, polished. You are just what exemplifies Black excellence. As a matter of fact, you exemplify excellence.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I just appreciate those words.
Well, they're true, Doctor. So please tell us what went into the making of such a woman.
I guess taking on difficult tasks all my life, growing up, my family was difficult first, but then pursuing areas that were not normally pursued in large numbers. For example, when I got to Tennessee State University as a student, I wanted to know what is the hardest major on campus, and they said physics, math, engineering. So I chose math. Because to get ahead, you have to learn at a level that's slightly above everybody else's level for you to be noticed as really achieving. Because you learn at the same level as everybody else, then you can't be measured above them. And so I wanted to have a difficult major, and it was difficult, but I still graduated with honors. And then I wanted to decide between law school, med school, and becoming a CPA. Because then I researched in the library, there was no Google then. What has the most difficult pass rate? And all three had low pass rates for black women, black people. But the CPA exam had the lowest pass rate. So I said, I want to be a CPA. Isn't that odd? Isn't that unusual? And so I took the CPA exam. It was by far the most difficult challenge I've ever had because I didn't pass it the first time, I didn't pass it the second time, but I said, stay with
You're
it.
kidding. Tell me about your family, Dr. Glover, growing up, because I hear I hear the characteristics of someone who was told early on in life that, looking for the easy way out is just not what you should do. Tell me about your parents, your family, your childhood. Who shaped you and what shaped
Well,
you?
my mother and my father. My mother shaped my spiritual side because there was so much church in our household. Till once I actually thought my house was a church because the church folk were always there singing and praying and dancing and talking in tongues. So I always thought that my house was a church. Living room was a church room. So I would dress up and go into the living room thinking I was going to church. But we were between the Baptist church and sometimes Pentecostal. And so we grew up in the Bible and the scriptures. That's my mother's side. My father's side, it was always in the civil rights movement. He would lead marches. I remember my turning point, my aha moment was when we watched a house burn down in my neighborhood because there was no fire protection. There were no sewers out. I was in South Memphis, way south, where in the county part of Memphis. I almost said country part, which may have been the same thing in the county part of Memphis. And there was no fire protection, so they would not come. And we were putting to have waters and hoses, but that wouldn't help. So we watched them lose everything. At that point, I said, I want to be a lawyer. I want to make life better. I want to go to court and get things changed. These rules don't make sense. You got a fire department, but they can't come out here about half a mile from where the line was. So my dad led a march and had all of us marching. It was huge. We met downtown, this march downtown, and they changed it. And I thought that was phenomenal. I said, this is what I want to do for a living. I must have been about 8 or 9 years old,
But you knew that made no sense and you wanted change.
Yes.
Now, did you have siblings, Dr. Glover?
There's 6 of us, 5 girls and one brother, one younger brother.
Oh,
Yes. The answer is yes. He got it going. He caught it growing up.
Where did you fall in that lineage?
4 from the top. There are 3 younger than me. There are 2 younger than I am, and there are 2 older.
So you're right in the middle. You're a middle child.
Middle child.
Go to the living room. I gotta remember that.
Our next setting, when something happens, you're gonna say, "Oh, she's a middle child."
No. Dr. Glover, I'm gonna remember that you got dressed to go to the living room. So the next time we get together, I'll just give up on trying to outdress or actually keep up with you because you've been having a lot of practice at this.
It's great.
So Dr. Glover, you went to Tennessee State University as a student. What must it feel like to go back there some 7, 8 years ago and be the president of this university, to make a difference?
It is just an amazing feeling to come back and lead the institution that gave me my start. I mean, it's an awesome blessing, one that I don't take lightly. I mean, it's no greater calling when God calls you back home. And I've been called back home. And there are challenges. There are challenges in every institution at every HBCU. But I love it. The students make it all worthwhile. When you see the students walk across the stage, they graduate and they go and they disperse into society and they make a difference. They write their signature on the world. I mean, that's what makes it all worthwhile when you see that.
And you mentioned the students. Let's talk a little bit about that, because these last 5 months, I would say, have been just so challenging for all of us.
Yes.
And here you are running an institution that specializes in large gatherings. You have students living on campus, they're in dormitories, and so you have 2 to 3 in a room. You have your off-campus living where there's shared housing. And even before COVID, a few months before that, a tornado went through Nashville and damaged some of the campus. So you've just been challenged in the last 12 months. How have you been coping, managing, planning, and strategizing for the well-being of the students and still sustaining the college?
Yes, March 2020 will go on record as being a very difficult month for Tennessee State. Early March, there was a tornado that decimated our agricultural complex. And being a land grant institution, we work hard with the USDA, Department of Agriculture, and a lot of our funding comes from agriculture. And so we have a lot of agriculture majors and a big agricultural college of agriculture. So it was a big blow to us. And then um, maybe 10 or 12 days later, the World Health Organization declared this a national pandemic, COVID-19. So we had to get students home. Um, some students didn't have a home to go to. Others didn't have the money to go home. I personally bought tickets. So it was not, it was a very challenging time for us. Well, we managed it. We had 48 hours to convert to online learning. So the good news is that we had already had every class had to have a shell, so we had an online shell ready to go. We were able to drop it in, well, making it much easier and making it sound much easier than it was. But we managed to get it done. That's the good news about it, good thing about it. So students, then we gave students the option of pass-fail classes so that we could at least have, we wanted to make sure we were fair to the students.
And so this online living, so to speak, or existence for the students, for the university, impacts something that is most significant for an HBCU. Your on-campus life and lifestyle is centered so much around sororities, organizations, organizing, and you mentioned the agricultural department. I see here we have you photographed with the students, a few students, and I know you have a very robust football team.
Right, that's at a football game. That's the governor in the picture. There's a senator, uh, Senator Gilmore. I think I see Representative Harold Love. They're all in the picture, and all of the royal court, Mr. and Miss TSU, and the SGA president, the vice president is just a student trustee. That's a great picture, and it's one of our football games
And
that we don't have this fall.
that you won't have this fall. That's what I wanted to get to, is what will now happen since we have this change with everything going on. What will happen to homecoming? What will happen to all
Oh,
of the big events that are, a big part of income generating and campus life?
well, homecoming is important to us, and the football games we have two. Well, this year we had the Jackson State the Classic. We were going to go to Detroit with two classes. We were counting on, and then the homecoming. As you know, you've been to our homecoming at TSU. It is like no other homecoming. Remember the parade? We were there at the parade.
That's
It's
right.
just like no other when you come to TSU's homecoming. But
TSU homecoming was like none other.
it's the bomb. I enjoy it. And it's a student parade, but I get in the parade with the students.
I have never I have never seen a whole town shut down for a college. This went on for hours and it was exciting
Yeah,
and fun.
it was. It's so it starts early in the morning, but it's a whole week of activities. But on homecoming day, it starts that morning at 8 o'clock for the parade, and we go from close to downtown back to campus. It is just wonderful.
It's
We
still one of the highlights, one of my personal highlights. So
I
I'm so glad
know.
I got to
It's
experience.
great. You have fun. I was watching you have fun.
I
You
sure
really
did.
enjoyed it. I was
I
like,
had-
come back and be a student. Come back and be a graduate student. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'll say this here, most people don't know this, but had it not been for COVID, I would be a Tennessee executive MBA student this fall. So you'll have me
Oh,
next year and things
that's
settle.
right. We got you.
We'll be there. I'm excited to join. So, Dr. Glover, you're involved in so many other things. I don't know. I just don't know how you manage this, other than getting a CPA, then becoming an attorney because you did get that JD. Did you
Yeah.
ever practice law at any?
No, I'm a member of the Maryland Bar, uh, but I guess I didn't really practice, but I always use the law. In fact, I use it almost every day at TSU. I use the law, I use every skill set I can muster up. I use it at TSU as president. But yes, yeah,
And I see that you've been very busy the last few weeks. We have something historic happening in the United States right now, and we have a first time an African American woman, Senator Kamala Harris, has been selected to be our next vice president, should the people approve and should we elect her.
yeah.
And we know that she is also an active member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And we want to talk a little bit about that because you have been all around talking about her, your experience with her, and you have met her. So let's talk a little bit about how that is impacting how you think this selection will impact America.
Well, it is an exciting time for women, for women of color. And it is just an exciting moment for us because we see someone that we've met is a touchy feely situation. You're just happy to see a woman, period. A woman from an HBCU, an Alpha Kappa Alpha woman, uh, attending Howard University to come in. There was an administration that had people from the Big Ten and the Ivy League schools. This is a Howard University, HBCU, a prominent HBCU, and we can feel the excitement in the air, and we commend uh, Vice President Biden for having the foresight to select her as his running mate. We appreciate that. So all the AKAs, can't say all, but the sorority, the Divine Nine organizations. I mean, all nine of us have just gotten behind it. There's a women's organization. A group of women. There are about 100 women. I mean, we talked to her. We met with her on Saturday and just kind of talk through things. And so I talked to her. It was just great, and we're thinking of things how we can do what we can do to assist. Yeah, but I have to be quick to say the Alpha Kappa Alpha does not endorse candidates because we're a nonprofit and we don't endorse candidates. But we can be excited for her. We can recognize that she's talented in our individual capacities, but we can support her. We just can't as an organization or chapters.
Absolutely understood. So, Dr. Glover, so many good things have been happening over at Tennessee State University, paralleled with all the challenges that have come at you. We happen to know that another very notable alum of Tennessee State is Oprah Winfrey. And for the first time, you were able to engage her in supporting different philanthropic, or rather, different efforts over at Tennessee State in the midst of all the challenges. So tell us how you're balancing all the highs with the challenges.
Yeah, there are some challenges. Oprah she's just an awesome individual. She's kind and generous and giving. And so she called. I mean, and she's this Oprah Winfrey. So I mean, it's not every day you get a call from Oprah. And so she said, I want to do something to help Nashville during this pandemic. She said, what can you help me with it? And so I was responsible for making sure the money that the money was properly accounted for. And so because she gave us $2 million. And so she said, "Hold on, you're responsible in essence." And so I said, I was up to it. I was glad. So TSU was happy to participate in that. And so she gave food to 10,000 families.
Oh,
$200 gift cards from Kroger, food cards, so people could have food. But when we were asking, "What is your basic need?" Many of them had gotten laid off from their jobs. Many of them had gotten terminated. Some had said, "Well, told me to take off 2 weeks, and then 2 more weeks." And she got ready to go back in the day before. Said, "I'm sorry, we don't have a job for you anymore, and we're closing." So so much had happened. The business failures, COVID-19 has caused some tremendous economic strains, and so she was well aware of that. And it was just so like her to see what she could do to help.
so Dr. Glover, for someone who is as well adapt to the inner workings of, say, corporate America, but nonprofit organizations, the institution of higher learnings, I think, are most challenged because how do you effectively educate these young college students who going to class and getting an A or a B is really just a small percentage of the college experience. So, how are you able to effectively plan for accommodating these students in times such as these?
Well, it's a challenge, but remember, our role as TSU administrators or as educators in general is to ensure that the student receives a quality education. In fact, that is the number one reason to attend an HBCU. When they ask a student, the answer is not "I like homecoming" or "the band is the greatest in the land," which it is. Tennessee State University band is, it's the greatest of all time. That's something we can concede. But when you ask them, why do you want to go to an HBCU? The answer is to get a quality education. That's number one. Everything else is just goes along with it. The fact that you'll be nurtured and you have people who look like you, that's very good. But you want to get a quality education. So we can't compromise that education because of COVID. COVID's done a lot of things that's harmful, but we can't compromise the students learn the academic mission they're on. We have to keep that straight. That's why we had to put class online for the first 2 weeks, was to make sure students were in a position where they could study. So we have students, a lot of our students in single rooms because of the risk involved with having a roommate. And we do have the ones that have larger rooms, have two in a room, but we have a large part of our student body that's on campus are in single rooms. Now that's not the way we normally do it. That's what we had to do now to mitigate the risk.
And so we have the other pandemic that's happening parallel to the COVID-19 pandemic. And here you are, the head of an institution that is a historically Black college, historically Black university. And so predominantly your students are of African American or minority descent.
Yes.
How are you, as a mother of a Black male, and now the president of an institution with so many young males and
Mhm.
females, but how are you balancing this? How are you handling this? And how are you preparing the students to be responsible yet proactive?
Well, the students. Well, first, how am I balancing it? The structure must be in place for success. When men are presidents, men are leading organizations, there's an assumption they have the structure in place. So they don't get asked, how are you doing it all? But it's a common question for women. But we're the ones who've always done it all. We've run the households, we've taken care of the children, we work full time, sometimes two full-time jobs. They don't always pay, both of them don't always get paid. But we've always done it. So the key is having reliable uh, people that you can depend on. At TSU, I have a great staff of vice presidents and directors who do their jobs. At Alpha Kappa Alpha, our corporate office is like none other. We have a great executive director and assistant, the deputy executive director, the folk in charge of membership and other areas. They're just fantastic. In fact, I mean, I just put them against anybody. I wish, and they're just great. And so that makes my job easier. I'm more of the face. Of course, I have to make sure that things are done. But as international president and chief executive officer of a 300 member organization, I mean, that is no small feat. So you have to have the right structure in place to make sure things are working. And the same for Tennessee State. You have a lot of alumni, you have the faculty, the staff, the student alumni. You have to work with all of them. And we have great alumni. When we had students had to go home for COVID-19, the first ones who came to us, what can we do? Our alumni. We're the greatest alumni I think of all HBCUs of all time because they're there. I mean, they hold you accountable as they should, but they're there to help, and they're not there to just you know. It could be other ways, but they're just great alums, and we really really appreciate them.
Um, so with the racial tension that we experience in the that we're experiencing now in the US is really what I was alluding to, because I think, when you have your campus with all these students, how are they handling the tension of the different protests that are oftentimes mislabeled as riots?
Well, the students want to be involved, but we have a virtual process in place where we don't want them to be involved. But still, if they're going to go out there, they have to know how to protect themselves with the mask and the gloves and the social distancing. But we ask them to just stay inside for now. We want you to stay alive. We want you to live through this first. But I think it is the whole notion is we're in a spirit of unfairness now, where the Black Lives Matter movement is a great thing. I mean, someone's a stand, and I like the fact that it's a younger generation that's out there. They're saying, "Listen, we can't take this. You keep killing African American men and women, and we're not going to take it anymore." So the fact that they're out there fighting, and then to make the Black Lives Matter movement appear to be one that's causing violence, that's just not true. There's none of the Black Lives Matter movement individuals are being charged with anything violent. It's the others from the other side that's causing issues. And so we have to to get that conversation going. That's just another tactic. It's another racial tactic to for the some other interest to come in and make a problem. But that's not the Black Lives Matter movement. And so we have a right to peaceful assembly. As a lawyer, I understand that. You have the right to peaceful assembly. And you don't have to have the National Guard brought in or others brought in to have rifles on you, to have you those intimidation and scare factors, the fear factors. That's not who we are as a country. We're strayed away from that. That's why Kamala Harris is so important. Senator Harris is so important because she gets it. She understands that that's not who we are as the United States of America.
Well said. It's interesting, Dr. Glover. I think this is a time where America gets to shine or, fail, so to speak, because a nation divided cannot stand.
Sure.
And, this push and pull that we're currently experiencing really requires us to just take a moment to pause and remember that the next person, regardless of their race, color, or creed, is just another person that wants exactly what you want, which is joy, food on their table, a job, peace,
Mhm.
quiet. And so I think we should be able to get through this if we think it through and recognize that we need leaders to lead.
We do.
So leaders who will lead. So Dr. Glover, we've got all of 2 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we get the best of you. So what are your parting words for us? Because when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
Our party words are just to stay the course. We want to live through this. We're going to get to the other side of this. But to students and young people everywhere, start with a plan. Don't just try to appear in life. Have a plan. Have a 1 year plan, a 3 year plan, a 5 year plan, a 10 year. 10 years is almost a guess when you get past 5 years. But plan your life. Plan what you want to do. Have 2 or 3 options in case option one doesn't work out. Have plan B ready. So, and that's what I say to everybody. Just make sure you plan your life. Trust God. Always start the day with a meditation and prayer. You cannot run 2 institutions without having been praying prayerful every day. And sometimes you throw in a fast that have to go along with it, just to put some wings on your prayer. But I say that's my part words. I always trust God to make the difference.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Glover. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Tell us how we can support Tennessee State University and support the students who are in need, those who may need scholarships. How can we be of support to the university?
You want to take that back? Because you never asked the college president that question.
Listen, I know what I'm asking now. I'm going to make an appeal for you when we're done.
You call me. You have my number right away. Just call like you do sometimes. But then www.tennstate.edu and scroll down and click on give.
So it's www.tennesseestate.10.
10, the abbreviation, www.10, TNSTATE.edu.
Okay. And then we're going to make sure we go to the portion that we can donate, right? So for all the viewers today, I don't think I've ever done this before, but if everyone watching today went to this www.tnstate, so it's tnstate.edu. And if we all donate $10, and all I ask that you do when you donate $10, just put Quaran-Tea in so Dr. Glover knows it came from her appearance here, I would greatly appreciate it.
Oh, this is so unexpected. Thank you so much.
And for every dollar that you donate, Fighting Atrocities Against Women Worldwide, which is the nonprofit arm of the Whole Woman, will match those dollars, and we will match those dollars and donate them to Tennessee State University.
Oh, that's even better.
So that's what we want to do. Tennessee State University has created some giants in this world, one of which I'm married to. So I am forever grateful to TSU.
He is phenomenal. He's on our TSU board of directors, board of trustees. And the key word in trustee is trust. And we trust him with our money, our academic program. We trust him.
So here to the Tigers, here to TSU, here's to you, Dr. Glover. I am so grateful. You not only made my day, you made our 100th episode, and I am so grateful that you joined us. Thank you so much. I wish we had fireworks to go off now, but we don't.
I'm so honored to be your 100th episode. Thank you so much.
I thank you so much, Dr. Glover. So, ladies and gentlemen, same place, same time. Join us tomorrow. Our guest will be Lauren LeBeau, Glam Ambassador, author, and entrepreneur. I'm Natalie McKenzie, and I am the Whole Woman. I wish you enough life to live, enough joy to give, enough love to share. I wish you enough. Good night.